Hello, Dan.
Hello, Eric.
So we are starting a little later than usual today.
hmm We're a
Yes.
little later.
Huh?
We're a little later than usual.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got caught up. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
So what are we talking about today?
um,
Did you
pe-
feel like telling your story?
I don't know if people would be curious. Um, Basically, I live very close to the water, the ocean, here in Clearwater. So usually when um I get a phone call, I just walk out of the house and then I head over to the beach, which is, a very, very short walk. And I've been reading about grounding, which is, having being connected to the earth and being barefoot basically. And it's very good for you because your body has an electrical charge and we all wear rubber shoes all the time. And so if you can discharge into the earth, it's good. It's a positive thing for health, and there's a lot of research on this. And so I've been trying to work on wearing shoes a little bit less. And anyway, I was on this phone call and I was on the sand, and I like to just walk and keep moving, and I decided to walk, and I was barefoot, and I walked up north on this. Clearwater is like an island. Clearwater Beach is actually a separate landmass from the mainland of Florida. And anyway, I went north, and got I just kept walking, and I was on the phone, and then I went all the way to the end where there's not really a sidewalk, and I ended up walking on kind of the road a little bit, and my feet started to hurt because I was wearing no shoes, and the sidewalk is very smooth, but the street that I ended up walking on and cutting across was very, very rough pavement, and like kind of like almost unpaved. So there was a lot of rockiness. And then my feet started to really hurt. And then I thought that it would loop back around, and then it didn't. And I ended up kind of getting lost with no shoes on. And then my phone was getting extremely low on battery, like 2%. And I was on the phone, and then I had to I realized I didn't know where I was, and I was like, frick. And I was going down one end, and then I was going down, and I had to GPS myself back in the direction of the house to know that I was going the right direction. So now, anyway, long story short, I think I have maybe 4 or 5 blisters on the bottom of my feet, from walking probably several miles in bare feet on sidewalk and pavement. And it gets hot out here, and the ground is hot, and it is what it is. So I'm kind of like limping's the wrong word, but like trying to shuffle across the house without walking on the bottoms of my feet, which obviously is impossible. Anyway, so uh
It's a
that's
good story. It's a good story.
it's
Uh,
sort of a Danism. People who worked with me and who know me for years would be like, "Yep, that's something that Dan would do." For sure. It's
well,
kind
it's
of a
cool.
kind of a dorky little moment there. Anyway,
Oh man. Well, that sucks about the blisters, but
yeah, it's fine. It's my it's my
uh,
it's my punishment for whatever. Anyway, what are we going to talk about today? What are we going to let's deliver some value to
I
these people.
yes. However, I do want to say I hope that this is the episode that goes viral.
That would be great. Then everyone can know that.
I'm just messing around.
We can
Yeah,
talk about all sorts of funny stuff. I like to make fun of myself, maybe a little too much,
sure.
but I don't take myself very seriously these
Yeah.
days. So that's fun. I did wear a nice dressy shirt
I
for this.
noticed. I
And
noticed.
I'm sitting down for the first time in any of the podcasts. I'm actually sitting in a chair, mainly because I can't stand on my feet. So it'll also be an adventure to see what my background changes into over. I'm basically sitting in a room that is just full of all my things in this house that we moved into, and there's no organization because I have no filing cabinets or furniture in here really, aside from this desk and chair.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna try and make the background as bougie as possible as we go.
Mhm.
As I have to keep up with Eric and his olive skin and beautiful lighting, and you look so just good.
Yeah, I think my setup could use a lot of improvement, but I'm working on it. I have some lights coming in the mail today, I think, for to light up.
I don't think you should change the light. I think you have like really, really like nice mood lighting going on.
Just wait. Just you wait.
Okay.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be
You're,
good.
yeah,
Well, okay, let's give these people something of value.
cool. So,
Um,
yeah.
we were gonna talk about like diversifying your marketing so that you're never uh caught with your pants down, so to speak.
Exactly.
And the
Unless you have your pants down.
yes. The reason this came up actually, just so people know, I've actually had on more than one occasion, um, clients of ours who have invested a lot of time and money into one avenue of marketing. For example, like, SEO or lead generation. And then suddenly, and that's been their thing to to get clients. And then their business becomes completely reliant on that one thing. And as soon as it goes away, I've seen this with people who do ads who get their ads account suspended, or with Google and doing SEO, or their Google listing gets shut down. And even with lead generation, where they relied on one vendor for leads, who they go out of business. um you get your business to a point where you're completely reliant on this one aspect of marketing, and once it goes away, that cuts off all the income. And what are you going to do? It's like a nightmare situation. You still have people to pay who rely on you. It's like, and it sucks to be, to when, like, the people I've worked with who experienced it, um mostly like they had a previous marketing company who set up their Google listing improperly, and then it gets shut down because it wasn't set up properly. And then they're calling me freaking out. And of course, we always get the listing back up and resolve the issue. But it's a shame that, not everybody realizes, they don't always know what their marketing companies are doing and whether or not they're doing things legitimately. Come to think of it, it's probably a grounds to be able to sue, I would imagine, if you lose that kind of income due to misrepresenting the company online. But anyway.
Yeah. Yes. I'm a huge proponent for doing things that are successful and continuing to do those things. So,
Mhm.
don't misunderstand this as, do something and then bounce to another thing and then bounce to another thing. If you do something that's really successful, then you got to keep doing it. It's almost your duty, as a business owner, to do that.
Mhm.
But and to be able to identify that also, like, to understand your business enough to, if you have a major influx of business, to be able to identify, well, what was the action that actually caused this? What did
Mhm.
I do? Was there an amazing job? Did I get a great review? did I get a bunch of referrals? Well, okay, great. Did I do something to cause the referrals? And then write this down. I used to have, as I was coaching people, specifically in sales, I made it a point to tell these guys, you have someone come in, they're a salesperson, they have a record week, right? Like maybe first week that they hit or have a really, really great sales number. I would always advise, with a lot of intention, go into a private area, sit with yourself, and write down and catalog all of the things that you did that contributed to the week that you just produced. And you produced it. It wasn't an accident.
Mhm.
The things that you did or did not do caused the week that you just had. So, and this could be mindset things. It could be your routine. Could be when the guy, maybe he was super energized because he was hitting the gym and he was eating a great diet and he wasn't staying up late. And so he was in a really clear mindset every day when he showed up, and he felt really good. And, there's lots of things that can go into, producing a great result in any field, right? So,
Mhm.
and some of the things people don't think of. And the reason I would coach on that is because this is something that I would do. I would have a great week, in several careers. I would be tracking my things closely. I would have a great week, and I would go and sit down and go, okay, what were the specific things I did that caused this week? And eventually, if you catalog these things, you'll get to a point where you have almost a recipe for a good week. And over time, what I would then do in order to have consistent production is I would look back at that and go, during a poor performance week, and maybe I would have 12 points, or 8 points. And it was always narrowed down to, if I'm having a great week, it's one of these 8 things that caused it, or a multitude of these 8 things. And inevitably, on a bad week, I would refer to my recipe. That's what I would call it. And recipe for a good week, right? And I would go, which one of these points is out?
Yeah.
And then I would figure it out, which one of these points is out. Most of the time, it's not just one thing. And that, to loop this back around, you want to repeat the things that won,
Mhm.
but also you want to have multiple things that win. So,
Yeah.
if you just are relying on any one source, even if it's referrals, referrals could dry up. You could have a problem with mailers.
Mhm.
You could be doing email marketing and your email accounts could get spammed. There could be a problem with any avenue, and you just never want to be in a position where you have one lifeline or feeder line of business and then it stops abruptly. And there was a client, that happened to, that you were telling me about. This was a little while ago, but
Mhm.
who had grown the business and hired a bunch of employees. And when he started working with you, it was just him. And he
Mhm.
didn't have a bunch of overhead and all this stuff. And something happened with a listing that was providing most of the leads.
Mhm.
And he's calling you, freaking out. And obviously, just like you said, we can get on it immediately, but some of it just takes time to turn around. It just
Yeah.
takes time. And the guys, obviously the income went up, but then his overhead went up to meet the income, and he had this massive overhead and was going like, I'm not going to be able to make it.
Right.
And so that's also something to be aware of.
Yeah. He recovered, by the way. It did take a couple of days. But he was freaking out because he thought, this is the end of my business. Fortunately, the fix was not very difficult, and the listing went back up and within a couple days.
It can be difficult,
Oh, sure.
you
Absolutely.
know, and
Especially, oh, go ahead.
sometimes well, I want to hear what you were going to say, but it may be where I'm going with it is,
Hmm.
especially in local search,
Hmm.
you could have a location that's not a brick and mortar location
Hmm.
that Google decides isn't valid for some reason.
Yeah,
And
like a post office PO box or something like that. If you use that, that's one of the main ones. Yeah.
yeah, and then what happens?
Shut down. Yeah. Like Google's gotten, I mean, Google has always been really smart, but it's literally a computer that is constantly going over the internet and looking for things that aren't legit. So when they see, they're actually, I was talking to someone recently who was telling me about how there's actually a strong connection with Google and the US Post Office, and which is how they identify, PO boxes and things like that. So when they see like you're using a PO box for your Google listing, it might stay up for a little bit, but chances are it's not going to stay up for long. So,
Ah, well, and then that's not something that you can just recover.
right. Then,
If you put a bunch of work into that,
mhm,
or the marketing companies put a bunch of work into that, and then Google goes, "Oh, that's PO box," and then
right.
they shut you off. You can't just go and fix it. You
Hmm.
actually have to get a location, wait for a postcard verification, go through this process with Google,
Hmm.
which has recently become a little bit more involved. If I'm
No, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, then I mean, that could be weeks or a month
Hmm.
and again, if you got, um, you got subs to pay, you got payroll to make, for admin staff, whatever it is,
Hmm.
equipment to pay for, and you're expecting the next jobs to come in, and it's the only way that you get jobs. It's a pretty nightmare scenario.
Yeah. So that leads us to the solution, right?
Yes.
So there are some tips that we wanted to share on different ways um, you can kind of diversify your marketing so that, you know, even if one source starts failing or declining for you, you've got other sources as well that you can use as a backup that'll work for you. Um, so of course, with whatever marketing a person's doing today, SEO does offer some of the highest return on investment of any kind of marketing. Um, so, definitely have SEO in there. Um, but Dan, I think you also had some ideas that you wanted to share too. I thought we'd just go back and forth.
Yeah, I mean another one that you may have mentioned, is email marketing. That can be great.
I didn't
Uh,
mention that, but yeah, you're right. I didn't mention that, so you're right. That's a good one.
it is a good one if you can figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
So and there's definitely a lot of yeah, anyways, there's a high degree of return on the investment in that typically.
Yeah,
Uh,
and
Go
that
ahead.
that that can also, getting into email marketing, um, one way that email marketing could work really a lot better for you is if you add on to the services that you're offering. So if all you've ever done is lawn care and maintenance, if you can add something like landscape lighting or irrigation, then you have something to email your existing customers about and literally, make a ton of money doing that. Or if you study up on successful email scripts, um, and successful email campaigns, then of course you can use that and just keep the existing services that you have. But yeah,
Yep. Yep. So we
and
talked about ads.
no, we didn't. Well, I mean, ads are a given. You have like Google ads.
That's what
Um,
I mean.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. There's also just hard copy mailers as well. And in our you know, top 7 ways to get high paying clients PDF, it actually talks about certain types of mailers you can do to attract really high paying clients. Not just postcards. Postcards is one way you could potentially get clients. And you know, if any landscapers listen to this, some of you may have tried it and not have had it work. That just has to do with a lot with ad copy and the offer that you're presenting. But there are other ways to do mailings that can be far more successful.
It definitely works. It definitely works. So if it didn't work for you, there's a way to get it to work. There's zero question. It will work. It's just the degree, how well it works essentially. So,
right. Yeah, absolutely.
So
now, you and I were talking about a really interesting one earlier. Did you want to share
it? Which one was it?
It was the one about golfing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's one that would, obviously be down the list, right? But there are certain, obviously, environments and activities that just are conducive to business. They're just conducive to business, and one of them is golf. Yep. I mean, probably an immeasurable amount of business is conducted on golf courses, and I think the main reason for that is, for a person who's representing their business or who, has a product or service, you basically have a captive audience for a multitude of hours. And you have a lot of exposure to that person. You're doing an activity, it's easily approachable. You don't have to schedule an appointment, get through gatekeepers, whatever it is. And I'm being very general here, but most of the time when you end up on the golf course with someone, if it's someone that you don't know very well, you're going to get to know that person. And I've done a tremendous amount of networking in and through my career, and so much of just being in the environment with someone and them getting to know you and getting, having an experience with what type of personality you have. There's not a lot that's more effective than that. And if someone likes you, and if they have that experience with you, and they know that you do landscaping, landscape design, hardscapes, whatever, they're going to go, oh, that's my golf buddy. I'm going to use him. There's people that I've used for services, I don't know how many times, just because I knew them, not necessarily because I thought that they were going to be the best, person to do the work.
Right.
Anyway.
No, you're totally right. And I mean, that idea, of course, I mean, we've always understood that networking on a golf course could result in getting more business. But in the landscape industry specifically, we have a client who has closed many 6-figure jobs on the golf course. And nobody else thought to do it in the area that he services. And so he gets all the high paying clients.
Well, yeah, because think about it. Golfing is a little bit more of an affluent sport and activity. People who have time to go golfing in the middle of the day are in situations where they're typically business owners, people capable of controlling their own schedules,
right,
etc.
Yeah.
They can afford to pay, $500 in an afternoon for a round of golf once or twice a week.
Right. Yeah. So. And in this client of ours, in his particular case, I happen to know he spends about $20,000 a year for his membership at the golf course.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
he's close with $500,000 worth of business. So,
oh yeah, easily, yeah.
but also, he's probably writing that off.
Oh yeah,
He's
I
probably
assume so. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, maybe, probably, but
get an accountant that lets you do it.
yeah.
How to do it.
So we've covered a bit of networking, mailers, Google Ads,
Yep.
and SEO. There is some
Hard
other,
copy.
yeah,
You said mailers, didn't you?
yeah.
Okay, okay.
Uh, there are other forms of advertising that a person can do. You know, if you happen to know, like, if you happen to know that the area you'd like to service happens to be full of elderly people, but it's, a neighborhood that you'd like, uh, put an ad in the yellow pages. Believe it or not, people are still using them. So
There's no doubt about that. There's also oh my gosh, the name is escaping me, but those value books, like
Valpak.
Valpak.
Yeah.
Pack? Value
Yeah.
pack. Yep.
Valpak. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, they have an audience still.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
of course, you can also advertise in you know, certain magazines that you happen to know, that the people you'd like to work with are reading. And I'm not talking about like, national magazines, but maybe there's a magazine for a specific neighborhood or city, or a magazine that gets mailed out to specific neighborhoods. If you can get an ad in there, that could be useful. But you're probably going to find, I think, a higher rate of people calling you from other methods. I could be wrong on that. I'm just speaking from what I've heard from a couple of our clients who have tried those types of magazines. Um, then again, it might just be that the messaging that they're putting in the ads that just didn't work out that great. It worked out, just not that great.
Yeah. I mean, I think, it could be said, it's just really important to try stuff.
Yeah.
You have to market your business.
I think that's the moral of the story.
Yeah.
You have to try stuff.
Yeah. Well, you do. I mean, if you care
It's
about
true.
growing your business, I mean, there are still things that people are doing and we've talked to a lot of business owners. I've met, I don't know how many entrepreneurs, very, very successful business owners. And it's like, well, what do you do? Okay, great. How did you go about that? And some of them are like, yeah, we tried this and it worked really well and we leaned into it. And, and it's like, man, I don't think a lot of people are doing that. There's also, I think we referenced in one of the previous podcasts, just because something seems old or it used to be a way of doing something doesn't mean it doesn't work anymore. And so we've covered some of those things today. But being an entrepreneur, kudos to all of you for having your own business, that do have your own business. It takes a lot of courage and, to go out there and do that and try things and be, intimately and vitally connected to the entity that you're making.
That's right.
So but you got to feed it. It's like a living and breathing. It's like, it's like a child. You gotta feed it and take care of it, and in order for it to be healthy. And if you expect that it's just going to happen by itself, you'll have a rude awakening experience. Yeah.
Well, that said, we created this PDF that I mentioned top 7 ways to get high paying landscaping clients. And we did that actually because we have a mission that Dan and I were actually just talking about over the last few days. Dan, you should share that message because I think you put a lot of thought into exactly what it is we want to do. And I mean, I did too, but I really feel like you are more of the brainchild for this mission.
Both parts of it, or just the 600?
The 600 is what I was talking about.
Yeah. So, I mean, we generally, not generally, genuinely want to help the industry. And if I haven't said this before, we really love the industry. All the clients, people that we've interacted with specifically in landscaping, have been just wonderfully kind, hardworking people. And we are honored and privileged to be part of the community, and hope that we, can continue to be embraced and grow as a force more and more. In order to do that, we believe that we want to and can provide 600% growth for 600 landscape contractors. And we have done this before. We've actually accomplished much more than that, but the percentage of the market that is, and what that would accomplish for the industry, we would be so proud and just glad and happy to be able to produce and give to the industry. And so we would love for you guys to know that the rock bottom result would be 6 times of growth in your revenue if you work with us. And that doesn't necessarily have to mean that you're a paying customer. If we can help you by giving you advice, and like Eric said, this publication, I mean, we're making these things available because we just really we know what it takes to grow a business. We know these basic fundamentals, and we know marketing, and we want people to understand that they can do a lot of these things themselves. And if they really understand and can educate themselves, the business is going to grow and prosper. So whatever we do, we'll do. But we will get 600 companies to 6 times growth at a base level. We have clients that we've gotten close to 3,000% revenue growth with. So that's a lot of growth. That's a complete business transformation, and those people are still with us, and we're really proud to be with them and stuff like that. That being said, if you are looking at doing any marketing and you want to see case studies, and you want to even talk to some of our clients, we can make those things available, because we don't want there to be any what's the word? Any
back off? I don't know.
Yeah.
Or skepticism.
Yeah, skepticism, false ideas, whatever. Anything like that. There's a word that is escaping me, but we want to be really clear about what type of products we can get for you.
Cool. I dig it, man. All right. Cool. I think we're pretty good on time. Shall we you want to cue it?
Cue the outro music. This is all sponsored by Landscape Marketing and SEO. We really appreciate you watching. If you got any value from this, please like and subscribe. And we're trying to bring the heat, bring the value, and we appreciate all your time. Cue outro music. Outro.